Boom chicka bow bow chicka 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 boom chicka bow bow chicka 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 boom chicka bow bow boom. Greetings. This is Bradford Donald Keller Townsend, and this is Friday, the 19th of October, in the year 2018 in the Common Era. This is a Reality Club and Forward Research Report. This video is entitled Engineering and Computer Science Are Really Bad Majors. I would like to make the argument to show the obverse of the coin. Most people who talk about majors are advocates of those majors and fields of study and have a vested interest and a bias. I'd like to give the negatives of majoring in engineering for a young person considering going to college for the typical 5 years to earn a computer science or bachelor's bachelor's of science in engineering or computer science software engineering. Engineering and computer science are really bad majors and career choices. There isn't a future for engineering and computer science. Let me explain why. The power grid is uber sensitive and unsustainable. Solar storms in 1859, a Carrington event caused blackouts. It induced electromagnetic voltage that today would fry microcircuits, integrated circuits, transistors. So at any moment, we're playing Russian roulette and our power grids could go down, and our electronic devices, including the one I'm recording this on now, could have its microcircuits fried. Rapid depletion of fossil fuels. I live in the state of Indiana. We were once, believe it or not, the world's largest oil producer, and we also produce large amounts of anthracite coal. Like the United Kingdom, which no longer produces any coal at all and has depleting crude oil production in their offshore drilling, that is a global trend. As the fossil fuels are exhausted, the global economy relies on it. And without the global economy being fed its food, which is fossil fuels, it will have to shrink considerably, and the demand for things engineered and designed by engineers and managers of larger enterprises, which is who employs engineers, will go down. And even small little businesses, you maybe only employ 20 people, maybe you make a special headphone or speaker or some specialty construction for building underwater pipelines, and you have a small engineering crew and manufacturing plant. All of it, big or small, will have a hard time once the fossil fuels become even scarcer than they are today. The supply chain requires freedom of the seas and freedom of the skies. The United States military, with some help from their NATO alliance or the Seven Sisters like Israel, Australia, New Zealand, France, the United Kingdom, is able to maintain freedom of the seas and freedom of the skies. Without these, we wouldn't have the global economy, and the demand for engineers would go down. And with the scarcity of natural resources, at any moment, a global conflagration or a terrorist attack could disrupt freedom of the seas and skies, and that would bring down the economy that an engineer would rely on for their employment. The power elites in Europe and the United States of America prefer to import their engineers because they are foreigners, and their very residency is at the whim of their big employer. So they're more submissive if they have to work lots of overtime and weekends and such. They can't just quit and become self-employed consultants or look for another employer that'll treat them better. A lot of times they are the equivalent of indentured servants under contract, like many of the first colonists to North America, where they have to work off their 5 or 7 year contract before they're able to be free people. And they encourage STEM around the world and give scholarships for it to overpopulate the market for engineers and scientists. There's could be as much as 6 times or more engineers and scientists than there are jobs as actual practicing scientists and engineers. In the low energy future, which we know is a certainty, there is not the material resources and the labor to rebuild an entirely new transportation, agricultural system, power grids, etc., built on new power sources. Nuclear, coal power, natural gas, crude oil are all supposed to be down to almost nothing by the year 2070. And as a young person, we're seeing failed states and all types of troubles right now. They cherry pick the news, and where there's a lot of bad things going on, such as Brazil, Central Africa, East Asia, it's just all left out of the statistics, and people put out these rose-colored reports and books and news about how things were more peaceful and nicer than they were in the past for past generations. They just want people to consume frivolous things instead of storing up food or investing in their garden and other things. They want you to still keep spending your money on video games or going to drink expensive alcoholic beverages, listening to music instead of on things that you might need for your survival, or holding the money in savings. Engineerings are not majors are not practical. In a better things to study would be go to community college, where usually you have very low tuition, and you can borrow money at low interest rates and take courses in horticulture, especially regenerative organic horticulture, how to grow food for yourself, for your family and friends, and that is practical and in demand. Learn carpentry, not just framing houses and barns, but also building tables, desks, beds, all the things that people will need. It is a renewable resource, and there should be lumber, and that would be a good skill to learn. Woodworking and carpentry, it would be practical to learn how to build a barn. And healthcare is preferred, I would say, to engineering and computer sciences, even in a low energy, lower tech, more localized economy of the future, where young people will be living in 10, 20, 30, 40 years. There will always be sick and injured people, and for your own health care needs, taking courses in healthcare, or I was going to say anatomy and all. I'm not a healthcare professional. I don't, but that's a good field to gain knowledge in. That's all I have. I wanted to give the other side of the argument of majoring in engineering, which usually has very little or no electives outside of the field, and it's just special case situations where you have mathematical expressions that are practical for these certain specific special cases. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.